Hi there. So today I want to talk about cruelty-free makeup and cruelty-free cosmetic brands. So the situation is a little bit complicated, and from what I understand as it stands today in 2020, the reason why some makeup brands are not considered cruelty-free is because they sell in China. So China has this law, right, where they reserve the right to test any sort of cosmetic products that is sold in the Chinese market on animals. So they reserve this right. And so if any brand wants to sell their products to a Chinese market within China, they will have to consent to this testing, number one, and number two, they will have to pay for it. So this is the tricky part, because companies independent of this Chinese law, if they probably don't need to test on animals. Research and science seem to have a way to test the safety of products without having to test on animals. I'm not entirely sure of the technique. I think it has something to do with replicating cells, human cells, and seeing the reaction. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a scientist. Maybe Vivian, if you know, please write in the comments exactly what they do. So the more famous brands, I have a list in front of me. I'll probably try to link like all these resources for you if you're curious to check out the lists. Some of the more famous brands that do sell in China are NARS, L'Oreal, Estee Lauder, MAC, Benefit, Lancome, Makeup Forever, Maybelline, Rimmel, Revlon, Clinique, Elme, Max Factor, Bobbi Brown, Chanel, Bourjois, Armani, Tom Ford, YSL, Sephora brand, Shiseido, Burberry, Dior, La Mer, I don't know how to pronounce it, starts with a G, Avon, Mary Kay, Dolce & Gabbana, Shuamura, Amway. So these are like the popular brands. There's probably a more extensive list which I will link, but these are the ones that you probably know. So what do I think of this? I personally think it's a bit tricky, because I would definitely like to know if there are any brands that do test on animals independent of this China law thing. But no one seems to write any of those brands down. Either it's really difficult to find, or there just isn't a need to test on animals anywhere else in the world. So by default, if China lifts the law, quite possibly a lot of these brands will be off the non-cruelty free list. They will be considered cruelty free. So at the moment, in my recent purchases, I would say that I have not purchased things that are within this list that are sold within China. However, I still do own products that are brands from this list, and I plan to continue using them until they are over, like they're finished. I'm not entirely sure what I would do if I would repurchase these items. I feel a bit conflicted about this subject, because number one, I'm not a vegan. I eat meat. There is a difference between vegan makeup and cruelty-free makeup. So vegan makeup just means that the item does not contain any sort of animal byproduct, and the most common animal byproducts in cosmetics would be beeswax and carmine, which are crushed beetles, and that's usually to create the red pigment that you see in red lipsticks, red eyeshadow, etc. So those are the two items that are the most common animal byproducts in non-vegan makeup. So that's that. And vegan makeup can be cruelty free, but they can also not be cruelty free. If it's a vegan product that's sold in the Chinese market, then it wouldn't be considered cruelty free. So that's the main difference. I think people sometimes miss a different way to kind of how you say, forward the cause, which is to support an independent what you call this, I think it's called IIVS. Hold on, let me do a quick search. IIVS. Okay, so IIVS is an organization, Institute for In Vitro Sciences. They're providing alternatives to animal testings, and they're actually working with the Chinese government in order to give them like an alternative way to deal with this testing stuff. And I think in that sense, if you want to support the end of animal testing for cosmetic use, I suppose, that would be another way to support it, by donating to them, possibly. Because I feel like, well, there is the camp of people that think, okay, if I stop purchasing from these brands, if I stop purchasing from MAC, from Lancome, etc., they will feel the loss of market in the loss of profit outside of China, and therefore pull their items off the Chinese market in order to continue profiting from the rest of the world, right? So that's just one idea. But I think regardless of that, I think a lot of the younger generation are the people that are kind of more, how you say, conscious of these issues. Not saying that the older generation isn't, but just it's just not on their radar. And for the younger generation with spending power, they spread this information a little bit more, and there is a tendency to, I don't know, be more socially aware, I suppose. And this is just my best guess. But I don't think, realistically, I don't think a lot of the companies will eventually pull their products or their brands off the Chinese market because it is so profitable in China. That's, yeah, the Chinese have lots of spending money. And yeah, I don't know if I've seen or I've heard of, and correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't heard of a brand taking themselves out of the Chinese market specifically because of the loss of profit from people that don't approve of animal testing. If I'm not mistaken, I might have heard about Body Shop selling in the Chinese airport and then still taking it out because it wasn't, they would still be subject to animal testing, something along those lines. Yeah, but I did hear that NARS, that was initially a cruelty-free brand, they decided to go into the Chinese market, despite this kind of attitude towards animal testing and stuff within their consumers. So I don't know. I'm definitely not all knowledgeable about this, but this is the information that I found, and hopefully there can be an interesting discussion about this. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, I will start talking about the products that I have completed and repurchased. and also the products that I think I might repurchase after I complete it and I deplete the product. Okay, first thing is this is the Pixie Skin Treats hydrating milky mist, and I use this more as a setting spray. It's got hyaluronic acid and oat, and the reason why I like this so much is because it doesn't leave a sticky feeling on my face. It does feel like my skin is a little bit more moisturized, and it also smells great. Smell is very subjective. I personally really like the smell. I did try the rose glow mist or something like that from Pixie as well. Unfortunately, I don't like the scent of rose, but it's supposed to be a dupe for like the Tatcha Dewy Skin Mist, which is very, very expensive. So just throwing that out there. Second thing I want to talk about is my foundation. So far, my favorite foundation formula in terms of like the feel of it on my skin and the look of it on my skin is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Weightless Foundation something. This one. But I have found something that's a little bit cheaper that I actually enjoy very much. And this is I took off the label. This is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define foundation thing. I don't know. It has the rose gold top. It's pretty, I think you'll be able to find it quite easily. This is some sort of like a 2-in-1 concealer and foundation. And the reason why I like it so much is because of the applicator. I find that just dabbing this on whichever spots I want and then blending it out with a brush is the fastest and quickest and easiest way for me to get some coverage. I don't really like having to pump it out on the back of my hand, spreading it around. I used to use a beauty blender all the time, but now I just find like brushes so much easier to use, and yeah, I can't be bothered to wash the blender all the time. Although I should wash my brushes more often. But anyway, hey ho. Next item I want to talk about is this. This is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion in the original shade formula thing. And this is my favorite. I've used it for a while and I really enjoy it. It works for me. I don't really have any complaints. I do, however, know that Lauren says that Lauren Luke, she's a YouTuber, she says that the Kiko eyeshadow stick in the shade Ivory is another possible like primer for the eyes, and she says she actually likes it better. So I think I want to try that out as a eyeshadow base in the future, because it's cheaper than this. Okay, next item is the Heroin Make Volume and Curl Mascara. This is a Japanese brand. I have talked about this before. My lashes grow downward and they're very straight. So in order to get the curly effect, I have to use my eyelash curlers first, and then I have to go over them with this in order to hold the curl throughout the day. If I don't use this, I've tried many different formulas of mascara. They might look okay when first applied, but in a couple of hours, they start to droop. And this is the case with the, I tried the NYX On The Rise mascara that Lauren recommended. She really likes this and it looks fabulous on her. And it does give me a lot of length and volume and all of that good stuff. Unfortunately, it doesn't hold my lashes. So if I wanted to, I probably could put this on top of this and maybe that will work. I haven't tried that yet. But yeah, on its own, it doesn't hold up my lashes. My lashes within like the first half an hour, it just starts to droop and then I've lost my curl. So yeah, too bad. Okay, so that is that. Next one I can talk about is the Meet Matte Hues from The Balm. This is a liquid lipstick. My favorite shade is the shade Reliable. It just complements my skin tone so well. To give you an idea of my skin tone, it's the 080 foundation, Zoeva foundation shade. That's my shade. This matches my shade. Okay, that's that. Next one on the list is this guy, this thing. This is the Yes to focus. Yes to Cucumbers Soothing Calming Micellar Cleansing Water. It's a makeup remover. I love this because it doesn't leave my skin feeling dry. It makes my skin feel really nice and refreshed. It removes the majority of my makeup. I will typically have to go in with something a little bit stronger for waterproof makeup, especially around my eyes. But this one as like a double, like a second cleanse feels really nice, and my skin feels refreshed and moisturized after using this. It doesn't feel dry. It doesn't feel, yeah. A lot of makeup removers that I've tried kind of feel like they dry out my skin a bit, but this one really is pretty nice. This one is the Cinema Secrets Pro Cosmetics Brush Cleaner. So this is definitely not a necessity, but I have a lot of brushes, and especially the eyeshadow brushes. I use them quite a bit. And this one, you just put this in like a glass jar or something, and then you dip your brush into the solution, and then you swirl it on a piece of like a clean cloth or a tissue paper, and it gets rid of all the excess product on it, and your brushes end up looking smooth, clean, and they feel clean, and they're also like it sanitizes it. It's like 99.99% bacteria free. Wow. I mean, it doesn't really say that it will sanitize your stuff, but let me look at the ingredients. I'm pretty sure there's alcohol in it or something. I don't know. Anyway, this cleanser is really great for that. I think I saw a similar product from a different brand in the drugstore. Don't remember what it's called, but I will be interested in looking into that if it's much cheaper than this. Yeah, it's not an essential item, but I like to use it. Okay, next one. I think these are a few items that are under the non-cruelty free list because they are sold in China. Clinique Dramatically Different Moisturizing Gel. I really like the formula of this. It moisturizes really quickly. It absorbs into the skin really quickly. It doesn't leave my skin feeling dry, greasy or oily or sticky or anything. It just feels really nice and moisturized, and it feels very smooth. And it also doesn't have any sort of unpleasant scent to it, which usually puts me off if, you know, the thing smells strongly of something I don't like. I don't want to put it on my face. But this one doesn't have much of a scent to it. And if it does, it's not obnoxious or anything. It's very mild. So yeah, this is really one of my favorites. I haven't found anything close to this in terms of like just the texture and the way that it absorbs into the skin. So I will be interested if you know of any cruelty-free alternatives to this item. If you had any alternatives to suggest, I'm interested to know. And it would also be cool if it's cheaper than this one, because this is not that cheap. Okay, another item is this Avene Thermal Spring Water. This is definitely not essential at all. My mom bought this and she gave some to me, and I just like spraying it on my face when I'm very hot and dry feeling. And it also works well as a to dampen your eyeshadow brush and go in with shimmer, and then you create more of a like a concentrated shimmer effect, or like a foiled look with the shimmer. This does that well. I have tried other setting sprays to do a similar thing, but they never do it quite as well as this, using my brush with this spray or with the, it's somewhere in the back, MAC Fix Plus, this one, this MAC Fix Plus Prep and Prime. This one I use a lot for foiling my shadows, dampening my brush, as well as setting my face. I like this too. Again, this is also not one of those cruelty-free brands, so that's the information for you, and you can do with that what you like. So I think that's all of the items that I have to talk about. Please let me know what you think about what I've said. Do you agree, disagree? And what is your stance? And if you have any alternative products to recommend that is considered cruelty-free by the 2020 standards, then please leave them below. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you found this informative, and ciao for now.